Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're
doing. I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Did you guys watch the press con with Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, and Donald Trump, the president of the United States, and the controversy and the argument and the shouting match that happened immediately afterwards? Wow, it was a spectacle. Now, in this video, I'm going to be speaking in English because I'm hoping that even people that are not Filipino are going to be able to watch this and understand what really happened and who's at fault and who's to blame for all of this shouting match that happened and who's really attacking who. Because if you watch it and if you're supporting Zelenskyy, you'd be upset with Trump and thinking that Trump was bullying Zelenskyy. Now, if you're supporting Trump, you would think that Zelenskyy is an ungrateful person and that he shouldn't be attacking the president and he shouldn't be coming to the Oval Office like that. And you're going to be all reactive and pissed about it. Now, I want you guys to take out all those biases aside and let's take a look at this. And I watched the entire 49 minutes or so of this press con to be able to figure out what really happened. And not just that, so that you don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to or if you don't have the time to do it. And this is what I was able to figure out. Okay, so the entire press con went very smoothly for the entire 38 to 40 minutes. It was only in the last 5 to 10 minutes where it actually got heated and the argument started. Now, how did it start? So to begin with, they were both talking about their different perspectives on the war and how they want to end it. And I'll tell you guys this, that they agreed to disagree. You could tell from the way they were speaking that they had different perspectives on this and that they agreed to disagree and they were okay with it. Trump wasn't retorting anything back when Zelenskyy would say something and Zelenskyy was keeping quiet when Trump would say something. From time to time, they would have minor corrections, but that's about it. It was obvious that there was diplomacy between the two and they were trying to be diplomatic. And you could tell Trump was trying to hold himself back. He was speaking fairly diplomatically and I actually want to commend him for that. Aside from the little snippets of that wouldn't have happened if I was president, it wouldn't have happened during my time, I would have been able to secure a peace deal, blah, blah, blah. Always hyping himself. But aside from that, most of it was fairly diplomatic. On Zelenskyy's side as well, you could tell that he was upset. And Trump pointed it out that, yes, of course, I understand why Zelenskyy is pissed at Putin. And then when reporters were trying to instigate the discussion by asking very pointed questions, Trump was saying, and he actually made a good point. And his point was that you're not going to get a deal done if you're going to be antagonizing the person you're making a deal with. If you're going to be calling him names, insulting him. And if you do that and you're facing that person, you're going to have a hard time doing the deal. But the problem with that statement was, that's what he was saying about Putin. But he did exactly what he said you shouldn't do in making a deal. He did it to Zelenskyy by calling Zelenskyy a dictator and that the war wasn't started by Russia, that that the destruction was because of Ukraine. So he did exactly what he said he shouldn't do during a deal making or when they're having discussions for a deal. So if you look at where Ukraine's coming from, I understand why Ukraine's upset, and rightfully so, and so does Trump. So if you read between the lines of what this deal is, I really think it would stop the war, or at least it would make Putin think twice about continuing the war with Ukraine or attacking Ukraine. And this is because this mineral deal that they're going to be doing puts an economic interest and a financial interest in Ukraine for the United States. And you heard Trump hint at it or imply it that because US has an interest in Ukraine, therefore they have to protect those interests. But reporters were trying to get him to explicitly say that, if Russia attacks, we're going to attack. And that was where the problem lies. Sometimes you got to read between the lines. I understand the reporter's job. And it was good that Trump did not, answer those questions directly. And he did say that you can't work on these what ifs and hypothetical situations. And that what he was doing was creating the deal so that they can have a ceasefire. Whether Russia would honor the ceasefire or not, we don't know. But I'll tell you this much. If US has an economic and a financial interest in a country, they will protect it with their military. That's a given. And you could hear Trump implying it already. The reporters were just doing their job fine. And Trump didn't fall for the bait, and he didn't answer it directly. And because they're making a lot of deals in the back room where they don't say it out explicitly and publicly. And that was correct. So the whole time, everything was going well, going fine. But anyway, okay, so aside from that, here was where the problem started. When they allowed J.D. Vance to speak up, and then J.D. Vance stepped in and made his comments. And when he did, honestly, this is where I thought Zelenskyy could have just let it pass and not have replied to J.D. Vance or not tried to fact check or correct J.D. Vance, because he did. And when he did, that's when the problem started. The way I saw it was, I understand Zelenskyy and I understand where he was coming from, but he could have picked his battles. He could have just not tried to correct J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance is the vice president. It didn't matter what he said. Honestly, he should have just picked his battles and not replied at all, or not have to correct J.D. Vance, because he was already talking to the president of the United States. But he couldn't help himself, and he did. And because of that, J.D. felt embarrassed because he looked really bad when Zelenskyy started to fact check him and correct him. And then when J.D. Vance couldn't answer the questions that Zelenskyy was asking or the points that Zelenskyy was making, he now diverted and tried to move on a tangent to be able to push to a different narrative. And so what does he do? He does this.
That's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
You
God
don't-
bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't know
God
that.
bless. You
Don't-
will not have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
As you can see, he actually asked one question regarding the point that they were discussing, and then he goes, and how dare you come to the White House and to the States and to the Oval Office and not thank the president and not be grateful for all the help that we've given you, and you disrespected and attacked the White House and attacked the administration. Zelensky didn't do any of that. If you watch the entire press con, he did not attack the Oval Office. But then now, what J.D. Vance was trying to do was instigate. He was an instigator. He was trying to fan the flames here. He wanted Trump to be riled up. So that's why instead of protecting himself or defending himself and his views, he said that you should be thankful for the president. You should be thankful to America. And you shouldn't attack the administration in our own country. He didn't do that. He was just trying to correct J.D. Vance's wrong perspective. That's it. And by J.D. Vance sucking up to Trump, by doing that, kind of pointing out to Trump that, look, he's attacking you. Look, he's not grateful to you. He should be more thankful to you. Basically telling him you should be begging for the United States to help you. That's what J.D. Vance was doing. He's the real instigator. He's the real fire starter. He's really the guy that should not have been in the room. He's the one that spoiled this deal for the US and for Ukraine. They both could have come out of this with a great economic deal, financial deal, and it could have stopped the war. But because of J.D. Vance being such an idiot, and I'm going to call him an idiot because that's what he is, now we don't have a deal. And now this war is going to keep going on, and the entire world is affected by this war because of this idiot J.D. Vance. I hope people see this because I really did appreciate the way Trump and the way Zelensky handled themselves. But then after about 30 to 45 minutes of being diplomatic, sometimes you kind of get tired and then you lose yourself and you lose focus. And that's what happened. And then Trump started going off on Zelensky, and then that's when it all just went downhill. And honestly, I'm sure J.D. Vance like, yep, now you mess with me, you mess with Trump. And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted Trump to back him up because he couldn't back himself up because he didn't know his facts. And it was very obvious he didn't know his facts. So I hope that everyone sees this and understands what really happened. Because if you just watch it and react, you're going to say that Trump bullied Zelensky. Or if you're a Trump supporter, you're going to say, yeah, Zelensky's an ungrateful person and he's disrespectful and he's disrespecting Americans and screw him. But that's when you're reactionary. But when you watch the whole thing, you will see that the real joker in the entire room was J.D. Vance. And he is the one that's at fault for why this all happened. What do you guys think? Did you react when you saw this, and whose side were you on? And now that you've heard this perspective that I'm giving you guys, do you really still think that it was Trump attacking Zelensky or Zelensky being ungrateful and undiplomatic and disrespectful and attacking Trump? Let me know in the comment section below. Write all your comments here. I'd love to hear everything that you guys have to say, even if you disagree with me. And if you like content like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on that notification bell so you're notified of my latest videos. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll see you on the next video.